Hello, Year 10. We're on to that touchy subject of the spoken language again that you're going to be doing when you get back in Year 11. I've spoken to a couple of you. You're not to worry too much about it. We always get people who worry every year, and we always get it sorted one way or another. So hear me when I say don't worry about it, it'll get done. Before we go on, I want you to spend 5 minutes thinking about what you could write your speech about. Now, I know we touched on this before, but just bring a bit of focus now. Come up with just one thing, and this won't be, as I've said before, necessarily the one that you do when we come back in September, which you actually do your speech on. We'll just be practicing on this. So there you go. Think about that for 5 minutes, and then go on to the next slide. Today we're going to be looking at previous students' speeches, or rather you are. Hopefully it'll make you a little less worried about doing it when you see how straightforward it is. And we're lucky because we have a small class. There's only 14 of us, and we all get on reasonably well, so nobody's going to be judging anybody else, and we're all going to be supporting each other. So it's an opportunity to get over some of that fear that you might have about speaking in public. So your title for today is Marking Spoken Language, and then on to the next slide. Speaking and listening preparation, lesson 2, that's us today, examples of student speeches. Today we're going to look at some examples and using the mark scheme to grade them accordingly. The mark scheme is simply the thing that teachers and examiners use to look at different pieces of work. Obviously, we have pieces of work that relate to your literature and your language, and there's a specific mark scheme that relates to this. It's quite a straightforward one, and you're going to need to download a copy of the mark scheme from Classcharts. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. To be awarded a pass, merit or distinction, which are the only three things you can get, a pass, a merit or a distinction, a learner must tick every criteria, that's every aspect in that grade. You've got to be audible, you've got to be able to hear you while you're speaking, you've got to use spoken standard English, so no slang, no innits or any of those things, which for the purposes of the spoken language assessment means that a learner must be intelligible, means we can understand what you're saying, and generally use language appropriate to the formal setting of the presentation. It is a formal environment, so we need it to be a formal speech. Here's the mark scheme that you will be downloading in a minute. I won't read the whole thing out. Pass is the lowest you can get, but it's obviously a pass. A merit is a merit. It's like the next thing up, and a distinction means you did it fantastically well. And those are all those bullet points show you what you need to do to get each one of those. And as it said at the beginning, you need to get every single one of those. You can't just get 2 or 3 and it be a merit. You've got to get all the things that are listed in merit there. Now it says accessing exemplars there. Exemplars is just another word for examples, accessing examples. So first use the link on Classcharts to get onto the OCR website. It's on there, look, but I will also paste that into the bottom where the YouTube link is on Classcharts for you. And then when you've done that, go to Candidate Exemplars. And then when you've done that, you need to go to Spoken Language Exemplar Film Material Set A. Look where the big yellow arrow is pointing. We're going to be looking at these 3 students, Jibreel, excuse me, Jibreel, Connor and Beth. They're a merit and a pass and a distinction, so you can see what that actually looks like. This is film footage, so it'll be them in the classroom as they were doing it on the day. So as you've watched them, you've got your mark scheme in front of you, and you've given them a grade, a pass, merit or a distinction, and you have to make sure that they meet every criteria in their grade. On the next slide, you can see the examiner's comments. You may be surprised. You're not being tested anyway on this. You're not examiners. It's just a way of getting you to grips with what it is that you need to do. So it'd be interesting to compare what you've got with what the examiners have got. There's Beth. She got a merit, which is the middle one, pass, merit, or distinction. So she's in the middle. Beth gives a presentation on the topic of female representation in books and films. She speaks at some length on this challenging topic before answering questions for her audience. The audience of peers had themselves just been taught questioning techniques, so they offer, unusually perhaps, sufficiently challenging questions. I won't read out the rest of it, you can read it. So that is at the bottom there. There are times when Beth hits the descriptors for distinction, so occasionally she gets up there into distinction, especially her engagement with the audience, but she does not do so in all areas, especially the strand which refers to vocabulary and structure. For that reason, she is awarded a merit. As a Year 10 student, though, she has clear potential and can be helped to progress further. So well done, Beth. I wonder what you gave Beth in yours. Jibreel got a distinction, so he can, that's as good as it can get. Jibreel presents to a group of classmates and his teacher on the topic of free will. Jibreel has chosen a complex topic and uses a sophisticated repertoire and range of vocabulary. He speaks with few notes and demonstrates extensive knowledge. The presentation has clear organisation. His relaxed but enthusiastic approach to the topic and its importance clearly engages the audience. So I'll go down, I won't read the whole thing out at the bottom there, you can read that yourself. Jibreel achieves a distinction when looked at against the criteria. It is worth noting that 2 points in particular which helped him achieve this. He speaks on a complex topic which requires, by definition, a sophisticated range of ideas. He is helped by the teacher's question, which enables him to elaborate his ideas. Who asks the questions, and the level of challenge of the questions needs to be considered by teachers and candidates when setting up the presentation. Now, that's one of the things that is important to know, that when you've made your like 4 minutes of speech and the class gets to ask you questions, I'm very much in charge of that. If someone asks you a closed question or a question that you clearly won't be able to respond to, I'll sort of shut it down and ask one of my own that enables you to continue speaking. Okay. And pass. This is the sort of lowest one, but it's still a pass. Connor presents to a group of classmates on the life and death of Dr. Crippen, who was a horrible murderer. Connor speaks without notes at an inexorable pace and with presumably extensive knowledge. It seems at times though as he may have learnt source material, which is not in itself an issue, but which can be seen to impact on the way he delivers his presentation. What they're saying is there that, to his credit, he's gone off and learnt some stuff about Dr. Crippen, but then he's sort of said it in a monotone voice, which doesn't make it very interesting. This is a speech. You're trying to make people engage with you. So I'll read the bottom bit again. In assessing Connor, we see a student who fully achieves the criteria for pass and achieves sometimes within the merit category. This means, though, that under these criteria he is awarded a pass. Further development of his skills could focus on extending the range of his ideas, varying the speed and pitch of his delivery, and ensuring that he receives questions which make him move beyond narrative detail. So he needs to liven up his delivery. He's probably nervous, and that's fair enough. We don't all I don't think anybody really likes public speaking when they first do it. But every year there are a couple of people who really enjoy this, and it goes on to be of great use to them. It's a wonderful thing to be able to stand up in front of people and talk with confidence. And don't imagine ever for a moment that people aren't nervous when they do it. They just manage those nerves. Reflection on what you've seen. So you've seen those 3 student speeches, and here's some bullet points that we can take away from this. You can talk about anything that interests you, literally anything. I've had presentations on bicycles, coconut water, fairgrounds, poetry, clothing, cars, anything you like. So don't make it difficult for yourself. Don't pick something that's really complex, which you're going to have trouble delivering if you don't want to. You can just pick something that's nice and kind to you, that you can talk confidently about. You can talk about your past. You can talk about your relationships with your siblings, anything at all. It is not a performance, it's a speech. So don't get up there going for laughs, that's not a thing, it's a formal speech. The context of your speech matters. You need to make sure that you make it relevant to your audience. I wouldn't worry too much about that one. Most things are relatable. You do not need to remember your speech off by heart, but you should know it well enough to not have to read it. You can use cue cards to prompt your memory. That's the way to go. Year 10, use prompt cards. You need to know your topic well enough to answer questions from your audience confidently. Now is the time to think about your speech seriously. Here are some possible ideas if you're struggling. A survival guide for modern teens. Veganism is it not the future? What happens to our rubbish? Why life is harder for men than it is for women, or vice versa? Why the school curriculum isn't fit for purpose? Fast food, is it good for you? Why is fast food so tasty? That's a good one. Artificial intelligence is going to destroy mankind. The dangers of driverless cars. My life in Dubai, South Africa, or even Woking. Life lessons from Bake Off. Homelessness, the forgotten people in British society. How to be happy. Fracking, the truth and the lies. Wind power, the truth and the lies. Electric cars. Just a few ideas there. You can literally talk about anything. Now it says here, create a mind map of all your ideas and brainstorm what you would say about them. Get it down to 2 different things and brainstorm all your ideas about 2 of your ideas for speeches. Now this is the thing that I want you to upload to Classcharts under the new system, which I've seen you've all taken to brilliantly. So fantastic, well done there. So I can give you achievement points. So I want 2 mind maps from you all on 2 different subjects, the 2 that you think you're going to choose one of to make your speech on. Now, of the 2, it's always good to speak to people about your ideas. So speak to someone in your family if you can, or you can drop me an email. I'm happy to help. Get their opinion and ask them what they would like to know about your topic. What do they think would be a great speech idea for you? What I do want to know is those 2 mind maps on 2 subjects. You've narrowed it down to 2 subjects now, so 2 mind maps on what you would talk about, and upload them onto Classcharts for me so I can give you all achievement points. Thank you very much, Year 10, and I will speak to you again tomorrow for some poetry.